Okay, guys, so we're finally done. We're in the 2000s. We're today. We've gone a long way. We've went all the way from 1877, right after the Civil War. Now we're almost at the cusp of where we elect Obama. So we did it. We're almost there, guys. So give yourselves a round of applause. You're about to be done with U.S. history. So let's be the first two people. First is Sonia Sotomayor, and she was our first Hispanic excuse me, she's the first Hispanic to serve on the Supreme Court, and she was nominated by President Obama. Now, we remember there was a woman Supreme Court member, but Sonia Sotomayor was the first Hispanic. We have already had an African American, we already had a woman. She is our first Hispanic. And why she's so significant is she represents this new trend in America where we see minority groups start to dominate, where the old traditional, and I do air quotes here, dominant white culture, which used to be the dominant culture in American society, start to go away. And we're starting to see, especially because of Sonia Sotomayor, and the next person we're going to talk about, Oprah Winfrey, become really big influences into our society. Oprah Winfrey, by far, is one of the most significant of these two women to American history. She was a producer and the host of The Oprah Winfrey Show for almost 2 decades. And why she's significant is she is a global media star. She created what American culture was. And how she did this was through her show. Because she had all these different people on, because she was so significant as a daytime talk show host, her she had definite qualities in altering what our perception was of American culture. And because she had such a diverse cast, crew, and talk show members, our membership, she changed the way that we see American culture and society. So one of the major events of our lifetime was the 9/11 attacks. And in 2001, there was the largest terrorist attack on U.S. soil. I'm going to be very general with this because if not, I'll spend forever talking about my own experiences, just my own remembering of this event because I wasn't much younger than y'all when this actually happened. And due to that fact, I got a lot of memories of the actual event, but I'll just be very cut and dry, only what you need to know. The 9/11 attack was conducted by Al Qaeda, and its main goal was to destroy all the major political, economic, social organizations of America instantaneous. So it wanted to attack Congress, it wanted to attack the Pentagon, it wanted to attack New York, it wanted to attack the World Trade Centers. Everything destroyed at once, hoping that that would dismantle the United States. But it really didn't get its job done. It actually caused a negative effect. It galvanized the public and it got everyone really involved in the American dream, the American spirit, and it created this national patriotism that we haven't seen before. So, what we see is that the U.S. Patriot Act comes out of this. And it's this and also the Homeland of Defense. And both these programs took away some of our basic rights as Americans and it replaced these with um, with more securities, making us feel safer using a lot of different programs. For example, the U.S. Patriot Act tries to deter terrorists by keeping eyes and track on them, and actually stopped a lot of terrorist plots from happening in the United States. But the government can now easily phone tap or wiretap any of our communication devices. And what we see is we see the global war on terror, which is really difficult. You see in this picture I have, it's like a whack-a-mole. Anytime you get one done, another one will pop up. It's almost impossible to achieve. But we see that we defeat terrorists such as Osama bin Laden, destroy their organizations. The whole goal is to identify, locate, and destroy terrorists. Not only that, we also have to deny their sponsorship. We have to support anyone fighting against terrorists, just like communists, and try to put sanctions on these terrorists. And the whole thing is that we try to diminish the things that these terrorists are trying to support. We try to make the world a better place so that these terrorists don't have people, the sadness to exploit so that these people won't be exploited. They won't have to turn to terror. And it's all about defending U.S. citizens, our interests at home and also around the world. And the last major thing is Hurricane Katrina. No matter what y'all, because all of y'all know about it, no matter what y'all feel about it, let's just look at the basic facts. The reason why New Orleans was flooded was the levees. The levees was a man-made dam system that tried to um, keep New Orleans not flooding. New Orleans is stuck between the Gulf of Mexico and the Pontchartrain Lake. And basically, what happened is the entire city, with the exception of the oldest part, is underwater. The entire city is under it's below sea level. So what happened is you have this huge hurricane. You can see over here in my first picture. It's basically the entire size of Louisiana. The entire state is that big. But there's two reasons why these levees failed. First is human factors. There's engineering in the failures of the levees. The levees were so old, they were actually created back in the early 1900s after the first major flood in the Mississippi River. And it's been, you know, 60, 70 years since they were really looked at and updated severely. So they were just bound to break by another huge storm. Also, we see physical factors. The wind, the storm surges of the hurricanes hit at high tide. And because we built our New Orleans was built below sea level, it was surrounded by all these bodies of waters. And just alone, even if the levees would have held this high tide, heavy winds, it still would have flooded a majority of the city. But not as much as we've seen because of Hurricane Katrina. And it's significant because over 1,000 people died and cost billions of dollars to repair. And lastly, we start to see some demographic patterns. Illegal immigration become a major issue. Now, depending upon your political position, you either over exaggerate or you don't. But we see that economic conditions and political persecutions lead tons of new immigrants to come to the United States. Now, this isn't just those from Mexico, they're all over the world trying to get to the United States. And we see large influx of these people every single day. But the main place we focus on is Mexico. And what's significant about this is on the border regions, those southern Texas, or those southern American states, and the northern Mexican states, they created their own borderland identity. And we see that the cultural diffusion is extremely high here, where there's a huge exchange between Anglo and Hispanic cultures. I mean, just look in your class. You can see some of those people, second period knows who I'm talking about. But you can really tell these different cultural exchanges to figure out what our new world will be like. But not only that, we also see not the cultural and social, but businesses also have to respond to this. And we start to see that businesses, just like Ford, just like Chevy, just like Volkswagen, they will have dealerships in America. They'll have factories in America that they build the trucks in Mexico City or they build trucks in Canada and then ship to America. Businesses have to respond to this multicultural, multinational world because it's just the way we live in. And that's what we need to learn, especially our generation, is that as we become more of a global society, as we become more of a diverse society, as we become more of a unified society, we got to get rid of our old prejudices, old racisms, old ideals, because we're a global society. We have to interact with people with different languages, different cultures, different foods, different beliefs. And we have to do that well, because if we don't, we're not going to be around very long, and it's not going to be good for us. And here's the last guy. I want to end it off. A whole year we talked about bad stuff left and right. History is just a whole line of bad things. But last thing we're talking about is hope. And that was a political slogan of Barack Obama. And Barack Obama was elected in 2008, and he's our first African American president. And Hillary Clinton was our Secretary of State. And she was formerly a viable female candidate for president in 2008, a senator from New York, and the first lady under Bill Clinton. And maybe she'll be our next president in 2016. And lastly, let's look at the economy. I already talked about this, but we see that globalization became a major force. And overseas markets, free trade zones have created a global economy where you not only have to be experienced in English, you not only have to be experienced in the American business system, but it has to be experienced in all cultures, a global environment. And last is international events. International events continue to be a problem. But what we see now is that what something happens, just little things like the housing market fails in the US, it has global effects. Just one little thing because of social media, because of the internet, because of communication, one little tiny event that happens in one place, a butterfly flaps its wings and it makes dramatic changes all across the world. Multinational corporations, like we talked about, they're part of those that are trying to get these cultures that spread, trying to build a global culture. Government policies influence this as well because taxes, government dislike, wars create barriers between trades. But individuals make up this main response. If you have business leaders who want to be global, who want to open up their higher levels to women, have more multicultural options, they can do that. And we see that those successful businesses do that. We can see it in Apple, we can see it in Microsoft, we can see it in Ford, we can see it in Mark Cuban's companies all around the world. And it's because we're going to this multinational, multipolar world society. And lastly, let's look at the technology of nature of work. We have tons of time, tons of these new technological innovations happening every single day. We talked about the assembly line, we talked about the light bulbs, we talked about all these new technologies. But in our modern time, two of the major things that developed is robotics and scientific management. Deciding what, or basically looking at what's the most efficient way to make something and having robots design the inventions. It makes everything so much cheaper, so much quicker to produce, and it forces our workforce to be more educated. Because if you spend all day, all you have to do is put on a nut on a tire. You don't have to be that educated. But if you have to keep up robots who have to do that, you have to be skilled with robotics. And it continues to make our society more intelligent as we go forward. Patents also continually to increase our the use of technology on business. Inventions change the way we live, and because there's so many inventions today, changes and evolutions are going so quick that people have to constantly continue to be educated. And again, all this new technology and re-education process makes us a more educated society and hopefully makes us a better society, more tolerant society as we go in the future. Okay, guys, that's the end of our slideshow, the end of all the PowerPoints I have. And I really hope that this year we talked about new ways, new ideas. Americans, we can't just be Americans. We can't just be black guys, white girls, Hispanic guys, Hispanic girls. We can't just be our own people. Hopefully, what y'all learned in American history is that we have all these different types of people that make up America. We're not a melting pot. We don't just want everyone to go to one culture. We want to create a society where we can all function well, to celebrate our differences, to enjoy how one person has a different way of doing it, to learn it, to make it better. I challenge you, I implore y'all, once you leave our school, don't feel like you have to stay in this Pleasant Grove culture, this Hispanic culture, this black culture. Keep that culture, but go experience the world. Talk to people, educate them about your culture, learn about others' culture, keep an open mind. Because what you'll learn is that the more you share, the better we become as Americans. All right, guys, well, I'll see you on Monday of next week, and we'll review for our start. See you then.